Hello students, welcome to BTech first year physics course. Now today I shall introduce the concept of line integrals and from there the concept of gradient. Okay. So when we talk about line integral, it actually the integral performed along a line or a curve of a function. And the function has continuously varying value along that line. Okay. Now, the detailed mathematical description of line integral I will discuss in the subsequent slides. Now, before going into that, let me tell you what is the importance of this line integral. So, it was invented in the early 19th century to solve some practical problems related to flow of fluid, means fluid dynamics, then work done in general, also in electrostatics, which leads to the concept of electric potential, right? Then the line integral also helps to find out the magnetic field using Biot-Savart law, also by Ampere's circuital law for steady currents, right? Now, not only in these fields, but also it plays important role in vector calculus for description of Stokes theorem and Green's theorem. And these theorems I shall discuss in the subsequent classes. Okay. Now, let's understand the mathematical description of line integral. Suppose we have a line or curve C joining the points P1 and P2. And let's say the position vector of any arbitrary point on the curve of coordinate xyz is r. And it is function of a single variable, that is u. Okay. Now it is important to mention that Ru has continuous derivatives along each part of this curve. Okay. And dr is actually represent a small elemental length on the curve. And direction is along the tangent of the curve at a particular point. Okay. Now let's consider a vector A which is function of the position and also continuous along the curve. Then the integral of the tangential component of the vector A along the curve from P1 to P2 can be written like this. Now, how will you understand this equation in more realistic way? So, the physical interpretation of this equation can be understood as work done by a force where A vector represents the force field applied on a particle moving along the curve. Okay. Now, suppose the curve is closed and we travel along this closed path from P1 to P2 and again returns back from P to P1. Then the integral around the total path is called closed line integral of vector A. And in connection with this line integral we can name it as open line integral. Okay. Now, keeping these two forms of integral in mind, let's understand one important concept in vector calculus, and that is gradient. Now, suppose the vector A is defined as del of phi in everywhere of a particular region in space within these intervals. And here phi is a scalar field and has continuous derivatives in the region of this interval. Okay. Now, if the form of del phi is like this, then it will be called gradient of phi or gradient of any scalar field. right? Now, what does it actually mean? So, to understand that, let's see this picture. Now, you can clearly see that this is a picture of a mountain. Now, gradient here means how steep the slope of the mountain is. Okay. And when the mountaineer goes uphill, the gradient is positive as the height of the mountain increases. And when goes down, the gradient is negative. Right? Now, this is an example of air density gradient around the earth. So you know that the density of air decreases from the earth's surface to the outer atmospheric surface. Right? So here air density at a particular distance from the earth's surface is constant and it forms more or less a spherical surface. Right? So at different distances we get spherical surfaces of different radius. So these surfaces can be represented by scalar surfaces and these are called equidensity scalar surface. Okay. Now another example is people sitting around bonfire will feel same temperature at same distance. So temperature is a scalar field here, right? And gradient of the scalar field represents the magnitude and direction of maximum space rate of increase of the scalar field. And the direction is perpendicular to that scalar surface. And that is quantified like this. Gradient of phi divided by magnitude of gradient of phi. Okay. Now here I shall give you one example by which you can understand why the direction will be perpendicular. Suppose I am sitting at second floor and I want to go to third floor. Now I can go either by staircase or if there is a provision to go straight from here to third floor, suppose by ladder. Now this is the shortest path to reach to the third floor, right? Now what is the scalar field associated here? That is height, right? So space rate of increase of height along this perpendicular direction will be maximum because this is the shortest path possible to reach the third floor, right? So we can say gradient of a scalar field actually represents a vector field which represents both the magnitude and direction of maximum space rate of increase of scalar field, right? So for example, temperature is a scalar field and gradient of it produces heat flow in the opposite direction because gradient direction is from cold end to hot end, right? Another example is equipotential surface in electrostatics and gradient of it produces electric field but the direction is opposite, right? So why is it so? Because from the point charge if we go far the electric potential decreases and that is actually the direction of electric field, right? Now as we have understood what is gradient, let's understand two important theorems related to line integral. So first theorem tells that if a vector field, suppose here that is A, can be considered as gradient of any scalar field, here that is phi, in any region, then the line integration of A dot dr from any arbitrary point P1 to P2 will be path independent and closed line integral A will be 0 in that region. So this is the second theorem. Okay. So in such case, A vector is called a conservative vector field. So what we learned? A vector field is conservative if and only if that vector field is expressible in terms of gradient of any scalar field. And consequently, del cross A or curl A will be equal to 0. Because curl of gradient of any scalar field is always 0. Okay, that you remember. The proof is not required right now. Only you understand the concept. Okay.
Now let's see what is the difference between conservative force and non-conservative force. So the force will be called conservative if work done by the force is dependent only on the initial and final position of the body. It does not depend on the path followed by that body. Okay, so in this figure you can see this is the initial point and this is the final point, and the particle or body can be moved in different path. So in conservative force field, the work done will be same along all the different paths. Okay, and the example will be the gravitational force, magnetic force, electrostatic force, all are conservative force field. Now in closed path, the work done by the conservative force will be 0. Now in non-conservative force, the work done by any force will be dependent on the path followed by that body. That means in different paths the work done will be different. Okay. Now in closed path, the work done by that non-conservative force will be not 0. And the examples are frictional force, viscous force, all type of resistive force, air resistance force. Okay. So today I am ending here. See you in the next class.